All right, so for your next lesson here, we're going to do another reading. We're kind of getting into rhythm here where it's similar, pretty much the exact same schedule every day, but mixing it up with these readings. So the theme for this week is it is about athletes and sports and kind of extreme things to tie into our lookbook unit that you guys started on Thursday and are continuing later on this evening. So today we're going to read about cyborg athletes, which might sound crazy. What does that even mean? But it's actually very interesting. Let me share my screen with you. We'll read through this. And then at the end, I have a short little clip to share with you guys so you can kind of see this actually in action. So here is a picture of a cybathlon competitor demonstrates his dexterity with a powered prosthetic arm. So when we say cyborg athletes, we are talking about people with some sort of disability. So a disability means their body doesn't function in the normal way for whatever reason. So this man here somehow lost his arm. And so he has a robotic arm, which is powered by some engineer who created this. And he's then able to do, now this seems like a just normal everyday thing. You can pick up a clothespin and you can put it on there. But for someone who's missing an arm, that's an amazing thing for him to be able to do. Because otherwise he only has one hand to do this, which makes it much more difficult. He can't hold on to one thing and clip the other. So this whole article is going to talk about an Olympics for specifically these people who have disabilities and are using some form of robotics to help them do maybe more normal things that would be easy for you to do, but not for someone with a disadvantage. So it's not like they're doing crazy backflips off of a mountain on a snowboard, but for the cards that they've been given, losing an arm, not being able to walk, whatever it may be, the things that they're doing are pretty extreme and really amazing, okay? So let's read this together. I'll go over some of the terms that you guys probably don't know, and then I'll share a clip, and then I'll tell you the questions you need to answer. So since 1960, athletes with disabilities, so remember that's some sort of thing that's happened or they were born with in their body that causes them to not be able to just function completely normally, have used special equipment, so some sort of thing that helps them to compete in the Paralympic Games. So this is not what this is going to be talking about, but it's going to explain this and then compare it to what this man is doing. So Paralympic Games. Among other sports, they play wheelchair basketball. So wheelchair is when you sit, your legs don't work, and you use the wheels to move. And ski with prosthetic legs. So a prosthetic leg it's not robotic. There's nothing that moves it on its own, but so different than this. But if someone loses an arm, they could have a prosthetic arm. It's just fake. It doesn't move on its own, but then it looks like they have an arm. Or a prosthetic leg is more common because then they can learn to walk on it. They can move it with the rest of their body, but it's not like there's any wires or things that are helping it move. The person is still doing the work, but it's not a real limb, leg, arm, hand, whatever. So in the Paralympic Games, people have prosthetics or they may be in wheelchairs. Now, keep reading. Some athletes are combining their own strengths with those of state-of-the-art robotics in a new kind of competition. So this new competition is what we're going to read about today. In October 2016, Switzerland held the world's first cybathlon, also known as the Cyborg Olympics. Athletes with disabilities used robotics to compete in various events. The athletes, called pilots, so that's what they called them, were assisted by engineers or computer experts. In one event called Brain Runners, pilots used their brain waves to control characters in a video game race. So in the Cyborg Olympics, there's people with all different types of disabilities. Some maybe are missing a limb, some maybe are completely paralyzed, they can't move at all, like this example, the Brain Runners. So for them, the engineers helped them, created some technology where they can just use their brain. They don't need to move anything. Their brain controls characters in a video game. So on the screen, they can make something move with their brain, which is crazy. Most events included daily tasks that can be difficult for people with disabilities. For example, in the powered arm prosthetic race, pilots without hands controlled robotic arms and hands to clip clothespins and to slice bread, which means to cut bread. Pilots whose legs were paralyzed strapped into robotic suits. Keep reading on the next page, but this right here is this picture. So it's just everyday things that you and I could do, but for them without an arm, that's a crazy thing that they're able to do with the help of robotics. So I'll reread this thing, head on to the next page. Pilots whose legs were paralyzed means they cannot move them, strapped into robotic suits, next page, called exoskeletons. So there's a picture here, and raced to climb stairs and navigate their way through an obstacle course. So an obstacle course would be like where they have to go around different things, maybe go up some things and down. Other events included powered wheelchair and bicycle races. So a powered wheelchair would be different than just a regular wheelchair where they use their own hands to move themselves. A powered one would be technology's moving it. There's something or like a little joystick they can move around that powers it and moves them instead of their own arms. So let's look at this exoskeleton here. So in the Olympics here that they're talking about, this person in the exoskeleton would not be able to stand up on their own without this. They're paralyzed, they can't walk. They normally would be probably in a wheelchair, but this exoskeleton can hold them up. There's motion sensors in the waist harness and the leg braces and straps for support. And then these crutches help them balance. So then they're able to walk with the help of technology, which they would not be able to do otherwise. They would not be able to stand up without someone holding them up. We'll continue reading. Such equipment may never be welcome in the Paralympic Games because those athletes must use their own muscles. Robotic legs might give an athlete an unfair advantage in the high jump, for instance. So it's saying in the Paralympic Games that have been going on for over 50, 60 years, they won't allow this type of technology because, of course, it would give an unfair advantage. If someone who has some sort of disability but can still stand up and run and is doing an event versus someone who has the help of this, that's kind of just not a fair playing field. The Cybathlon was much more than a sporting event. Scientists used the games to test new ideas and technology to show how useful this gear can be for anyone with a disability. Robotic arms could help wounded soldiers return to work. Exoskeletons could help paralyzed people walk again. Some people worry that blending the human body with robotics could lead to accidents or abuses. So like with any technology, things can go wrong. Things can break, they can catch on fire. So people worry that if we are experimenting more with this type of technology and more people are using it, things could go wrong. But for better or worse, though, this gear is already in use. People are using it. We may soon see examples of it all around us. Cyborg athletes are giving us a sneak peek of that future. All right, so I'm just going to show this short little clip of the Cyborg Olympics from, it was posted this year. I doubt this was this year because I don't see any masks, but let's see here. So let's just watch this. You can see some of the different events.
This is the Cyborg, fascinating and insightful bionic competition for disabled people who use robotic assisted technologies. It drew 60 teams from 20 different countries across the globe to participate in 6 different disciplines, which include a powered exoskeleton race, an arm prosthesis race, a leg prosthesis race, brain-controlled computer games, a functional electrical stimulation bike race, and a powered wheelchair race. The goal is to accelerate the development of assistive technologies for people with physical disabilities, as well as to promote inclusion and knock down barriers between the public, people with disabilities, and tech developers. The nonprofit championship, which kicked off in 2013, is an initiative of ETH Zurich. Pilots with disabilities collaborate with teams of technology providers to develop robotic assistive aids that can help them accomplish an array of everyday obstacles. Powered arm prosthesis race involves pilots with amputation on one or both forearm or upper arm. They must replicate the functions of their lost extremities. Today, arm prostheses have made incredible strides, such as an automatic motion from the user and transmitting a sense of touch when handling objects. The brain-computer interface race involves pilots with quadriplegia. They use brain-computer interfaces to control avatars in a computer game. The objective of this technology is to control devices such as wheelchairs for people with limited ability to move. The powered exoskeleton race highlights how exoskeletons considerably increase the mobility of people with paraplegia, which therefore improves their overall physical and psychological health. While their use isn't common, exoskeletons are considered a welcome addition to a wheelchair. A functional electrical stimulation bike race is for pilots with paraplegia. It zeroes in on a technique that allows paralyzed muscles to move again. Electrodes are placed on the skin or implanted, and currents are applied to the muscles, therefore making them contract. Powered leg prosthesis race involves pilots using a leg prosthesis on one or both sides, including a knee joint, and they have to perform various movements. The powered wheelchair race involves pilots with wheelchairs controlled by a joystick, thumb control, touchpad, or other technology, and overcome obstacles such as stairs. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please follow or subscribe for more videos like these. I'll see you again very, very soon.
All right, pretty cool, huh? So let's go over the questions you need to answer, and then you can rewatch, listen to me again, or read on your own. So number 1, yes. What is another name for this? Let's just zoom out so you can see them all. A little bit. Get my pen. Number 1. What is another name for the Cyborg Olympics? Who are the pilots in the Cyborg Olympics? Which Cyborg Olympic events are specifically mentioned in the passage? So just go through and try to find the different events that they talk about in the passage, not in the video. Yeah, let's do this one. So I didn't read that box. You'll have to look at, we looked at the picture and I talked about the different parts, but read that box with the picture of the powered exoskeleton on the second half. And it says, what technology is used to anticipate how a person is going to move? So anticipate means to think ahead and figure out how the person is going to move. So what technology is used? They're using a lot of information questions here. It ties into a grammar lesson. We're not going to do that one. I do want you to do this one, and then that's it. We'll do 5. Why are robotic arms and legs prohibited, not able to use in the Paralympic Games? Remember, the Paralympic Games is different than the Cyborg Olympics. That's the one they talked about first. So why are they not able to use robotic arms and legs in this game? Okay, and we might we'll discuss some of these at the end of class, okay? So just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Boom. Okay, there you go. All right. What am I doing? Get out of here. All right, stop sharing. All right, you guys can finish this up and then head to our lookbook for some more extreme sports.